Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, instead of fixing the brakes on the daily driver, we're going to tidy up some wiring in the old Camaro. And right now, the Camaro, which I don't know if I told you this name, this is Parker, by the way. She has a name. So, I threw the hood back on Parker, as you can see, because we were going to move the car outside because there was, like, no room in the garage. But we just moved some stuff out, but there's room, okay? Basically, there's room. And right now, the car, it still needs the engine bay completely tidied up. And it's supposed to be in the high 40s this week. So, the hose should not be frozen, and I can actually pressure wash the engine bay. And I have to pressure wash an undercoated truck. So, I got a lot of stuff to do. But Thanksgiving's coming up, and I have Thanksgiving break from school. So, I can use that to my advantage. And we're going to get this car buttoned up for the car side of it. And then we just got to tackle that. Really, really good stuff. Yeah, it's a bunch of cheap junk. But anyway, welcome back to the Antique Geek Garage. And let's get into this. Alright, so I'm holding the light because... yeah, the hood's on, and that's really inconvenient, and I'm going to try to get that taken right back off. Man, is that in the way. But anyway, you can see all the wiring and transmission fluid here that we got to tidy up. I'm going to cut most of the wires I don't need. I don't know if this car was fuel injected. I still haven't looked it up. But these are all just wires that don't go to anything. So, I'm going to group them in bunches and then cut them off, and then regret it later in life whenever I figure out I needed that connection. But anywho's... You can't win them all, right? I'm also going to look into fixing that power steering leak, because that sucks. Get, like, you know, stuff that, not the coolant, the windshield wiper reservoir off. I still got to get the power steering pump off. It's really stuck to that, steering box down there. I'm going to leave the crippled, AC condenser in here, and we can live without that. I'm going to ignore the rusting battery tray that has holes in it, and, we're going to pressure wash this, paint it up real nice, but we can't do that right now. Plus, not just because it's 32 degrees outside, but also because I don't know what paint for paint I have, and I need some gloss black, that'll stay. And yeah, so I'll get in here. I'll just kind of show you, you know, a little bit of the wires we're chopping off, and it might be time-lapsed, but I got to figure out how to hang a light and science and stuff, so I'll catch you then. Okay, so when you're getting into these units, you gotta be really careful. I mean, you wouldn't want to damage nothing. Yep. Okay. This is for the transmission. I guess that does something important. I guess we should keep that one. An old choke wire that's just hooked up some random ignition wire. This electrical tape is older than Queen Elizabeth. By golly. I'm going to leave most of this AC stuff on because I'm just too lazy to take it off and try to paint around it, and then it probably will fail. I'm going to paint most of it black, you know. Don't know how this unplugs. What kind of wizardry is this? Well, come on now. Okay, yep, we're going to actually leave that plugged in. And these are the wires I'm going to get rid of. Because, we don't need them, so we don't want them. For brakes, I'm not sure what we're going to do here, because I would like to paint these black, but leave this silver, so I want to be lazy and not take this apart, but I'm probably going to take it apart. I've never done it before, so I'll just kind of figure that out. Don't mind the light that's smoking. That's just a little bit of transmission fluid I spilled on her. Alright, I'm going to group up some of these wires and cut them, and I'll show you kind of the aftermath. Get some of this just organized. After that. That was a little bit short. That's where I'm going to cut it for today. I'll show you here what we got done. Alright, so it doesn't look like I did much, but I got a lot of the wires wrapped up in just electrical tape, at least for now. I might slide a plastic over them, at least heat shield and stuff over the starter wires, which go down there. And I got to do a couple more terminations. These are the wires that I'm hoping that I can just get rid of, except for that ground, keep all the grounds. And then I'll just kind of tuck everything back down in there. But first, I realized that I just need to wash everything first before I start wrapping up wires and whatnot, because some of the wires are pretty bad. Well, we're back. It's the next day. I'm going to go and, first off, I'm going to clean the hood off, make it shine, make it look good. And then that way when it's sitting off, it's not going to be getting, like, whatever oil and splatterness here. It's not going to just sit, bird remains on the hood. I'm going to clean all that off because the hood's going to come off. But I'm just going to do some stupid little things like take off the windshield wiper thing or washer fluid reservoir, the wiper motor, like stuff that just needs to come off to get this pressure washed, because tomorrow starts Thanksgiving break, so I will be able to actually get this pressure washed and done and then move on to undercoating that truck. So I'm just going to get that done. I'm probably not even going to time lapse it, so we'll see you guys tomorrow. And we'll get this thing cleaned and ready to go. But I'll show you what I did. Alright, welcome back. Today, I don't know if I left off somewhere or not, but today I've been really busy with a bunch of other work, including that Ford Ranger that's right outside this door. But I still got this engine here, and it's time to start digging into this. I need to start cleaning it especially, and getting rid of the parts that I'm not going to use. Pretty much the entire exhaust system, valve covers, intake, all that stuff. I'm just going to sell it because I don't need it, and that'll bring in some money as well to help. And then we're also going to start painting stuff cleaning and painting, getting ready to paint the heads. Like I said, I'm taking the heads off my other engine. They're HO heads, so the 58cc chambers. Those would be a lot better. I'm hoping to use those. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit boring, a little bit of time lapse for this section, but I got to get it done, so let's film it, I guess. Okay, so basically, we're going to start with valve covers. I'm going to leave them on for now. This one's hand tight, and it's missing that bolt. I'm going to clean it, and then I'm going to sand it briefly, just a little bit, just to get, smooth that here a little bit and all that. And I'm just going to spray paint both sides black, and I got to take this stuff off. Just basically take the chain off, all the things that need to get done so that valve covers can get off, painted, get ready to sell those, and get ready to get this intake off. That being said, I really don't want to start fully taking every single thing off until I have the new gasket set, which I do not have right now. So for now, it's going to stay mostly together, but valve covers, we can do those. That's all right. Now look at this now, fellers. I mean, don't look half bad. I already touched it and got dust and dirt on it. Now that paint job is nowhere near perfect. I just did a quick little 80 grit hit, but I mean, don't look too bad. I think the next one I'm going to use a little bit of 320 before I paint it. And I got to paint this cap still. I'm just going to put some tape in a circle over this and paint the black around the cap so that we get that matching too. But other than that, it ain't too bad. Unfortunately, it's still not perfect underneath, but it is one heck of a lot better than it was before. And this was bad. This is what happens when you don't do oil changes regularly. You get so much sludge and buildup in there, all just from not changing your oil. So, yeah, keep up with that, or else you'll get sludge and whatnot. And I'll show you a little bit of what I do here. So first, I wiped it down multiple times, spraying it with brake clean, and just using some blue shop towels. And now I'm going to hit it with some 80. Get all this off, and I'll show you. Alright, so as you can see here, I just hit it with some 80 grit. I have a whole roll of this stuff. I have tons of it. It is very cheap to get that stuff. Trust me, it's worth it to keep for all sorts of projects. Big areas you want to get is like rust spots and all that. You really want to get those down. Not that I've ever heard of a valve cover that rusted through, because there is constantly oil splashing inside of this. But once again, this one here, that is a very, very bad sign for the engine. That is not good. That is very dried and sluggish and milky oil that has not been changed in very frequently at all, built up in there. These are another set of valve covers I have off another small block. These are just sitting on here to keep dust off. That's about normal wear for a vehicle with tons of, like, a lot of miles still. Like, that's just a normal, I mean, that's what it should look like. So clearly, by golly, somebody help me understand. There we go. Yeah, so clearly it should not look like that. But I'm gonna clean the inside and outside of this. I'll do a little bit of time lapse, and I think for this one here, I'm gonna use a little bit of this 320 180. I think. Never mind, that's 180 grit. I'm gonna use that 180 grit just to make it a tickle bit smoother. I'd say 320 would get you pretty good for getting a real smooth paint job, but it's just gotta be okay. And then I'm just getting rid of these. I'm just gonna get rid of these on Facebook for a couple bucks because I don't need them. I have those there, and I'm gonna buy a chrome set to match the engine. So I don't need an extra set. That's why I'm doing this. And so that goes for any of you guys. If you're trying to just, you're getting too many parts stacked up on the old top shelf, just start going through them and start slowly, like, sanding them, painting them. That'll get you, decent value for them, and it doesn't take much at all. This is a drum off the Camaro, an original one. I'm going to get this completely cut, get this all redone. I'm just going to sandblast the front of it, paint it chrome, boom, 20 bucks, maybe 25 bucks. I have two of them. So that's what I've been doing, and I just get, man, this is a really old can of spray paint. I've had this sitting in the garage for years. But I mean, just pick whatever color you like and paint something. That's what I would recommend for getting rid of parts. Anyway, I'll time lapse this real quick and we'll get out of here. Alright, this is it. Went over it with 80 and 180. Now you can see there's still a little bit of rust on here. That rust goes really deep in there, so it's just going to have to work. I don't have any rust prevention stuff. I usually do, but we're just going to have to paint it. I did clean the underneath of it. I'm trying not to get the top greased again. Not bad, actually. Turned out okay. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just got to get all that really bad old crud out of there so it doesn't gum up somebody else's car if they use them. Yeah, I got to take this outside to paint it, so I'm not going to film it. But this will be outside. I'm going to put 3 coats on it, and then I got to paint the cap as well. I got to find that and then bring it back in, and we'll set them side by side, see how they are. All right, both valve covers are painted. This one still needs to dry. Of course, they're not perfect at all, but they're better than what they were before, and this can go up on Facebook here later tonight once they're dry. The back one's already dry, just waiting for the front one. I'm going to set an engine head up here, and I'm just going to start wire brushing for decades, and we'll see how far we can get on that. So I'll just time lapse that, or I'll show you the head first, and I'll show you what we're doing. Alright, so this buddy right here came right off a 305 HO. As you can tell, they done professional maintenance on this thing. By golly. Spend it, that's $10. It's just 10. Anyway, we're gonna clean this up, get this all down, and it is already actually pretty decent. It's actually the engine that's sitting back there. It's what it came off of, and I'm gonna clean this up, and then we'll try to take the other one off, get them both cleaned up and ready to go. I don't have any engine paint with me here, but we can change that. We can go get some and get these, both the heads painted at least, and then we can set these off to the side till we get the rest of the motor tackled. But I mean, slowly but surely. And I gotta take this hood off. I need somebody to help me get this hood off here, and that way we can paint the whole engine bay and everything and finish cleaning that up. But for now, we'll do this because we have a little bit of time. So let's just dive right in. Well, I have spent quite a bit of time out here. This is pretty much what it looks like. I'm just gonna do right before I paint it, wipe this down one more time, but it's pretty well wire brushed, and I lightly cleaned this side for the intake. I'm gonna have to make sure to really get this because there's a little bit of oil on it. Get that perfectly clean. I just kind of try my best to spray some brake cleaning stuff to get the majority of the oil and gunk out of here, and use the air hose to get the rest out. I just gotta throw some spark plugs in here, and this is pretty much ready to paint. I'll throw an old valve cover on so that we don't have to worry about any dust and dirt or paint then getting in there. But other than that, it's ready to go. It's ready to be painted. So I just need to go get some engine paint for this, and that's it. So I cleaned the engine here. I spent a little, or pretty much the only time I spent on the intake, though, was last night, and of course it was so packed of just so much stuff. Like it's taken forever to get out of here. But that being said, slowly but surely, the whole intake is getting taken care of. Um, I was looking more in depth here on how bad this oil is, and it's making me worry a little bit about the bottom end of the engine and how that's looking. So at some point we're going to be flipping that over and checking that out. I think today we might pull the intake off and the heads off, because those are all going to be replaced, and once my new gaskets are here, and then we can throw all that back together, so that'll be extremely shortly. I started cleaning this head here just a little bit. I just spent a little bit of time getting the intake manifold gasket. It's not even completely off yet, but I got most of it off with the razor blade. Over here, this is the one that's done. It actually looks pretty nice. It's ready for engine paint. I just happen to not have any with me right now. These two, I'm just gonna do a lot more boring cleaning. Trust me, it's boring. Just using a wire brush and then a screwdriver to get the big stuff. Well, I use a screwdriver first to get the big stuff out, and then I use a towel to wipe up, as much thick grease as I can, and then I take the wire brush in and use a little bit of brake cleaner and whatnot, and that seems to be doing a pretty good job. Although this has so much oil and junk caked up on it, it's going to take a lot longer than what it should, but nevertheless, I'll get it done. I did also determine I'm going to be repainting the car. So, if you didn't know, this car, I painted it myself, and I've never painted a car in my life, and I didn't know anybody who's ever painted a car professionally at all, ever, and so, because I really didn't know what I was doing or what to look for or anything like that, it ended up looking like this. And now, granted, it's dirty. Even when it's clean, it still doesn't look that amazing. Maybe I'll throw up a screenshot of a nice clean shot. And in this clean shot, you can see it actually looks like a decent car, but you can tell that there's like layers and patches, and there's dark spots, which are particularly highlighted in the camera, over here and here. And those are because this should be a metallic two-stage paint, which means it should have a silver base coat that you lay down. And then with your silver base coat, you lay your blue over top. I just primed it and laid blue on because I bought the kit on eBay, and I didn't buy it straight from the manufacturer. The company I bought this from is actually, it's like Auto Paint HQ, I believe. I think, yeah, Auto Paint HQ. This is the reducer that they gave me. I used the full gallon on Mistakes. This is only 2 coats because I ran out of paint, and that's why this, like, there's dark spots as well, because I painted my whole car with a full coat, actually a coat and a half, and then I sanded it back down. It was bad because it was worse than this, believe it or not. And after a lot of work, I got it to look like this, which cost me way too much money to look like this, but it's what I learned. And since I bought the kit only included the blue, and it was so that you could lay your own base. If you want to do a gold base or a silver base, you could pick and choose, kind of match it however you felt like it. I just laid gray primer. I just laid gray primer down, and then I sanded this. So I sanded the primer, and these black dark spots are from where the primer got sanded down, and the paint started to show through because I wanted to fill in any dents, grooves, anything like that. It was sandable primer. And I was like, oh, that'll cover up with a nice dark blue, and I didn't realize it needed a silver base coat, and that's why it looks the way it does. This next paint I'm buying is going to be a single stage kit. It's going to be a lot more user-friendly, and it'll make it better for me to demonstrate to you guys on how to paint a car cheaply and easily, because, well, this was just paint supplies alone was just over $600. Of course, I had to buy an air compressor, tools to paint a car, because I had like a tiny air compressor in my garage. I would have never done it. So many tools, all the degreasers, the towels, sanders, all this stuff adds up. It was well over $1,000 to do this entire paint job. and it looks this bad. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of a cheaper version for you guys. I will be doing the full cost cover on that as well, so stay tuned for that. Although that won't be happening till late January or February sometime, assuming everything goes well, because I need a place big enough to paint this car that I can heat, which I have a spot in mind that should work perfect. I just need to make sure I can get it. I did paint this in this garage. It was actually laying completely perpendicular to the doors, and you can imagine how small this garage is. I had most of the stuff outside, just in the driveway, just to get it to fit in here, and I had about a foot on the front and the back of the car, and that was it to move around. So that's an update for now. I just wanted to mention that the car is going to be painted. That's a big step. So that's the updates for now. This video will most certainly be coming out Friday because I've been slacking on videos and I need to start doing them every week. And so this one's going to be out on Friday, don't worry. And I need to find some more stuff to do. Parts will be ordered for this tonight even, maybe. I'm not sure. I need to get some parts in because a lot of this stuff is simple, put in new gaskets. But trust me, I want to drive my car too. This is my one of my absolute dream cars. I have a lot of them, but this is one of those. This is a dream car of mine, and I'm so fortunate and so blessed that I have it at the age of 16. Even if it's a piece of junk that doesn't run right now, I'm still so happy to have it, and so we need to get it done, need to get it ready to go on the road. Without buying anything, there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen to this car, and wiring is going to be coming soon for the new head unit and everything to go with that. I'll be demonstrating that. I've done it so many times, and I'm really familiar with it, and I love doing it, so that'll be coming up shortly. Other than that, I'll catch you guys when something cool happens. So, yeah, let's go. All right, so welcome back. It's Wednesday now. I spent a little bit of time cleaning some more stuff. Let me show you here real quick. All right, so this head is pretty well cleaned up. I'm going to, of course, go over it one more time before it actually gets painted. And then, of course, go over the bottom once again before head gasket ever goes on. I like to put some WD-40, especially on the valve springs in particular, just to make sure that there will never be any rust in there. And I just have that over there to keep the dust off. 2 305s. Right now, none of them run. It's pretty awesome. So I think I'm going to start taking the alternator bracket off first, and then start pulling. Boy, might start pulling the heads. So I got to get a spot set up on the floor so I can kind of lay out all my parts. I mean, I got the floor room. I actually have a little bit of room here finally. I'll lay out a blanket or something, and I'll start laying down the parts for this engine because it's time for this thing to finally be rebuilt, and I'm so happy. So, yeah, I'll show you kind of how we do this here. Okay, so first, I'm going to grab some power tools. Where's my 14mm? I don't like missing sockets. I don't like them at all. Got too many tools, man. Alternator bracket. This is pretty simple. These are the pieces that are really easy to do, but also like count the most whenever you're rebuilding or just touching up your engine, whatever you're doing. If you're going to paint it and make it look nice, it's small little pieces like this, your alternator bracket, that it takes 20 minutes to wire brush, then sand down, lightly. Just sand it all over and then just spray paint it black. It's simple, but yet it adds so much definition to your engine when it's complete and built. And it'll stand out so much more if it looks bad than if it looks good. So it's small pieces like this you can't forget to do. And then, yeah, let me lay this down real quick. I forgot to grab my blanket. Alternator bracket going down. I also pulled off the water pump pulley yesterday. And for your water pump pulley, same thing. Really doesn't take that long to just quickly sand this down real quick. Get the back as well while you're at it. Paint this black. It'll make it look so much better. So it's those things, man, I'm telling you. But that being said, let's get ready to pull this intake off now. Another thing I like to cover that's not really talked about too much, at least by myself, is tools. So, I bought about 80% of the tools in this garage from Harbor Freight. The air compressor, the jack, the seat, the engine lift. The toolbox here is from Walmart. That was a solid. This toolbox right over here, I don't know if you can see it too well, was $100. That was the best $100 I've ever spent in this garage. Like, that toolbox is amazing. And they probably still have it at Walmart. I bought that like last year. So it's like you don't need to have fancy tools to be a mechanic. Now they do help. Don't get me wrong. Having nice Snap-on, Mac tools are amazing. They really are an amazing tool. I've used them. I don't waste money on it right now because I don't have the extra money to waste on the tools. Get what you need and then upgrade later. And especially if you make this more of a business instead of a hobby, then I would definitely say upgrade at some point. But also keep your tools clean because nobody likes to grab a tool to tighten, a little bolt on their car they found loose, tighten a lug nut, and their hands are black right before they have to go somewhere and, trying to dress up and look nice. So keep your tools clean. It really is worth it. That's why I leave my tools out whenever I use them. So all my tools will get stacked up before they ever go back in my toolbox, and they get cleaned before they go back in. So that's why tools are there. There's tools back here. They ain't going back until they get cleaned. And I also keep them all organized. Like I said, I thought I lost the socket there for a second. Right now, I have the 9/16. It is sitting right here. The 14 millimeters on the impact. The 1/2 inch is one of my extra ones to go in my other toolbox. Keep everything organized. Keep everything in order. And know what tools you have. And trust me, it'll make your experience so much better because then you aren't getting upset that you can't find a tool, and you're saving yourself so much time. Trust me, it is worth the extra time to put them away. It does save you time. I promise you that. So that's what I do. I think it's a very important part that a lot of people kind of skip over. So definitely make sure that you are doing that. I never said this, but I'm not certified to be a mechanic. I don't have any specific certifications behind me. So everything that I say, if you take it to use for yourself, it is at your discretion. Obviously, I do it, so you can see the results I get, but I can't guarantee anything. So I'm still in high school. I do not go to a tech school. I just do this as a hobby, and I am professed with hobbies. I don't like spending time on the internet, so I used to, and then I decided, I'd rather make the content than watch it. So I did learn a lot from YouTube, though. So as much as I can talk down on it, almost every single thing I learned about, particularly car engines, because I learned a lot of the small engine stuff myself, but car engine stuff, I learned a lot of that from some people on YouTube. The two best channels I would say is Junkyard Digs and then Vice Grip Garage, and they are absolutely amazing for tech tip advice. A good time to watch. Like, it is just all around amazing. This is my attempt, and the reason that I'm doing this, I have no means to copy them ever. I'm just a kid who wants to do it from a 16-year-old perspective rather than somebody who, Kevin Brown is definitely still younger, but from a 16-year-old perspective in high school, what it's like nowadays to build a muscle car. Because at this point in time, muscle cars, they're kind of disappearing. It's something that only, the old guys are interested in. But I find a lot of interest in old muscle cars. I always wanted a Mustang, and then I got a Camaro, just because it was what I could afford to get at the time. And like I said, this car was a gift to me, and it was $900. So this is a statement that you can turn something cheap into a nice, fun car, and you don't have to be, out of school to do it. That being said, you do need a job. So get out in the world, get up, get off your phone, do something, make some money, put time and money into, project years, and trust me, it is actually really fun. I love this car. And honestly, this car could have been running and driving for about $1,300 all in. The only reason it was $1,300 is because I put a new transmission in it, but I paid $150 for a used transmission, and it seems to be working just fine. Now, I've only put about, I don't even know, 200 miles on this car, maybe, since I've owned it. But since then, that transmission has had all of those miles, and I don't have any issues as of right now. No slipping, no bad shifting. So $150 to get that fixed, and then I don't know, maybe $100 to get the engine tuned up. You can probably find a used carburetor if you wanted to. I had the old carburetor. I still have it. It would still work on this engine. It was okay. I mean, a rebuild would have been nice for it. It started to leak out of the bowl seals because I pulled them off, not knowing what I was doing. And I put a new carb on it. I didn't need to do that. The ignition system I did replace. I might not even had to have done that. The only thing that I really needed to replace was fuel line and fuel pump. Brakes, I did like replace all the brake stuff, but a lot of it was okay. I just don't want to play the game of it should work. I just kind of wanted to make sure that it would. So I did that. But yeah, that's my little statement there. Let me finish getting this intake off, and I'll catch you when we're ready to pull it. Oh, come on. Why, God, you little devil. Oof to me. Oh, no. That's not what I like to see. Let me bring it in here. So, all this really thick, greasy residue, that's more evidence of the, the not oil change thing. And interestingly, they used those gaskets that I hear a lot of bad about, and personally, I don't like. And they did a little bit of Permatex, it looks like. Nope, this is a one piece. And it seems like it actually did okay for holding up the oil leak. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a replacement, but I mean, I'm not 100% sure. So, if you guys know, let me know down in the comments. But, yeah, usually across this, they call this the China wall. You run like a little bead of Permatex because it's just not going to leak, basically. And I'll just talk a little bit more about that in the assembly side of this engine. Right now, we just got to get her torn down. So, yeah, this is evidence. This is just dirt that's fallen in, obviously. Dirt and debris and stuff. Yeah, that's not good. It's a bad sign for just, sludge being built up everywhere, all that sort of stuff. So I am very glad that I'm tearing this engine down. And yeah, let's get these heads off. That's going to be fun too. This is where you want to make sure that you can just kind of start laying out all your pieces. I think I am going to buy just new rockers because these ones here, well, no, maybe not. I'll probably reuse rockers and my cam kit, I'm hoping I'm going to try to make sure that it comes with new push rods. Either way, I would like to get new push rods if it doesn't. So push rods, I have tons of push rods because that engine and this engine combined. But I would still like to get some. Let's start taking all of these off. And I'll catch you when we are ready to go. So now I'm going to do a little bit of learning on you guys. So we're going to talk about camshafts. And particularly flat-tapped cams. So let me see if I can pick up one of these lifters really quick. And that way I can kind of tell you, or show you, rather, what the bottom of a flat-tapped lifter looks like. So, a flat-tapped cam, obviously the bottom of it is flat. And this is the surface that actually hits and rubs against your cam. So as your cam is hitting this, it is pushing your push rod straight up, which by using, whatever that law thing is, it pushes the thing down, basically, using a rocker arm. It pivots off this point, pushes your spring down. These two here are still on. So as this comes up, pushes the spring down, opens your valve. Flat tapped cams, they are, they're great cams for any street cars or anything like that. It's the limitations with it are that you can't have too high of a lift or too high of a profile, because if your cam has too high of a lift or too high of a profile, it's going to smack against here and dig into this. And you'll actually start to get scarring, chipping. It'll kind of really wear this away. And over time, it will be a non-machined flat surface, which means you're going to be losing lift, which means your engine's just not going to be running right, period. So there are limitations to these, but for my purposes, and in fact most street car purposes, building a car with a flat tapped cam is fine. You're never going to run into any issues where you're going to need to have a roller cam. Now, I don't have anything with a roller cam, but a roller cam It's similar to the bottom of that flat. It's a similar size, but the bottom of the cam actually has a wheel that spins. So as you hit it, you can hit it more aggressively. You can hit it with bigger lifts. And you don't have to worry about that scarring or that punching going into that. You're going to actually spin that wheel. That way you can get, more choppy cam. But the real reason is for more performance. You're going to get way more performance out of your engine. If, of course, you can have a bigger cam. But that's for cars with like single plane intakes built to stay at 6,000 RPM their whole life. Street cars, I would recommend this not only because it's cheaper, but because for most 99% of the cars you're seeing on the street, this will do it. There's no limit, like there's not limitations that are going to stop you from creating, a decent amount of horsepower still. As long as you're not killing it on the RPM side. I think the RPM side of it is what will kill it. That's just what I would say. I would say the RPMs are definitely what would absolutely kill it. As long as you don't rev it to 7,000 RPM, it's going to be fine. It's going to work great. Now that being said, I am going to put the biggest cam I can with this setup with HO heads, and you're going to see once it's all back together with me how it's going to run, and we need to make sure it's reliable because this isn't a race car. I don't want to fix it every weekend. I want to drive it and rarely ever have to fix it. That's why it's being torn apart, to fix all the problems now before I ever have to deal with them again. Look at all the oil built up on these. My golly, like that is like scrape off with your fingernail oil. That is, whew, that is not so great. Not what you want to see when you are tearing apart your engine. All right. Ooh, damn me. This is heavy. Once again, though, looks like the head gasket was still doing its thing. I don't see any evidence of it not. Oof. This side down here. Yep. This is the cylinder right here that had that excessive oil deposit from the exhaust valve. I do see cross-hatching still, though. I do actually. Definitely some vertical scarring on cylinder number 2. Even a little bit on 4. That's the top end. Let's pull. I'm just going to pull the water pump off for tonight. And we're going to call it a night because it's almost 11 o'clock. So I'm going to pull the water pump off. We'll get the crank and then the cam and all that fun stuff out tomorrow. Alright, so, we got it pretty well torn down. We got the engine heads clean. We're starting to get a lot of stuff done. It is exactly, actually, 10:22. So I was a little wrong. We're coming up closer to 11 o'clock, though. And so I'm going to be washing up and cleaning up so I can head inside here at like 10:30. We got a lot of stuff to do. Tomorrow I will kind of go over everything and teach you a little bit more about engines, what you need to look for, what I'm going to be buying, and then this video come out, and then it's going straight into putting this thing back together with all new gaskets, a new cam, new intake, the HO heads. It's going to be a completely different engine, and I'm so excited to get this car running again because we're finally starting to actually make progress, and that's really great. And I will see you guys probably tomorrow evening. Catch you then. So here we are again. It is the next day. We are going to start to pull off the crank pulley and timing chain. We're going to probably leave the camshaft in, but we're going to take the timing. Actually, we're just going to take the crank off and the timing cover off. And we'll probably stick with that. Now, I'm going to show you here what I do before then, and then we can flip the engine. After we get it off, we'll flip the engine over, and we'll start taking that oil pan off and see what we're dealing with on the bottom end. And as long as everything checks out okay down there, then we're good to go for, the car engine. It's good to go. So we're ready to go in the Camaro. So, yeah, well, let's go do this right away. Okay, so we're going to talk about a little bit of timing here. Right here is 0 degrees. Now, of course, on your harmonic balancer, you will have that mark that you can look at. Just trying to do it the slightest bit. You can see that's where the pivoting point on the crankshaft, where your rock arm has to do this. Here's your piston. So from the bottom, it would look like this. And that pivoting point is right where the top dead center is. Now, you can have this spun. Let me see if I can move this chain out of the way. Well, I can't rotate it all the way around because the chain's there. But now that my timing mark here is on the 0 degrees, the way that you know that it's on the top dead center of the compression stroke, which is where you want to be for assembling your engine, putting in the distributor, whenever you're putting it all together, you want to be at top dead center of your compression stroke, not just top dead center. The way you can know that without having the engine head on or anything like that, to cover the spark plug hole, is look at your lifters here. So this is where it'd be great if I could roll it over, but you see how there's lifters in here that are slightly raised. If one of these is raised, and then, well, that means that you're not on the compression stroke, because that means a valve is open. And if one of your valves is open, well, that means that you're not on a compression stroke. You're on, you're taking in air or getting rid of exhaust. So your compression stroke, your valves are closed, your piston is going straight down, and then it'll push back up some exhaust. So that's how you know that with just this. So we can look at this. We're now on top dead center of the compression stroke. And now, knowing that, now I'm going to pull this crank and everything off. Not that you necessarily have to do that, I don't think. But that's where I'm going to leave it, so I know where this is. And this, you can always check once it's off, this is the top of the stroke, and this is compression. So let's pull this crank pulley off. All right, so I got the pulley itself pulled off. I just got our harmonic balancer puller off. Let me grab a croissant wrench here, and we'll use one of those to twist that, the right size for the job. Should come off pretty smoothly, which it is, nice and straight and true. So, harmonic balancer is off. Let me go set this aside, and we'll get ready to tear off our timing cover here. I mean, I ain't sure exactly what kind of slop you should have in your timing chain, but I don't think, or I think it's a little less than that. That's a lot of wear and tear. Got the old starter mechanism off. Those are mildly important. You might want that whenever you put her back together. I'm interested in this oil pan, might I say. So what we're really looking for here is just bad wear and anything major oil sludge. Just the little things. We know it's not going to be good, so I don't have those high expectations. Alright, time for the big reveal. What's she hiding under here? Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? What's this about? We got fragments. Might as well get her done. I think, even though I'm seeing a lot of bad signs, a little bit of metal in the bottom that I was not hoping to see, a chunk of something, oil sucker upper, I think overall it's not too bad. This is it though. Bottom of a small block Chevy. Yeah. I mean, this is where it's all going to begin. So, I'm going to get this rear main seal fixed, I have to take this flex plate off, obviously. So, it'll have to be off the stand. But I'll take this flex plate off, and that'll allow us to start taking oil pump and all that off, and get down to the rear main, and we'll actually probably have to pull the crank out. So Let me actually, I don't know. I don't know if you have to pull the crank or not. I'm going to say probably, but who am I to say that? I mean, that's hard for me to say for sure. So we're going to have to get all of this stuff out of here and set it all up. And I guess while it's out, we might as well make the best of what we got. All right, guys, so I'm going to start and take the rest of this stuff apart. It's going to be boring. I'll show you kind of what happened, and then we're going to go over everything once the engine is pretty much 100% torn down. I'm going to do the boring stuff, tear this all apart, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. And so we'll catch you guys then, which is probably going to be a long while from now. Let's get started. All right, finally got this all torn down. Let me show you what we're dealing with. All right, so as you can see here, it is completely torn down. I got the crankshaft and all out of here, which this was supposed to be a rear main seal fix and throw a cam in it, but here we are, and I'm glad we're doing it. I am going to pull these motor mounts off still tonight, and then I'm just going to spend a little bit of time, probably like an hour or two. It's going to take a lot to clean up tools, the floor, the engine itself. Like I have tools over there. Everything over here is pretty well organized. This is how you guys, if you don't do it like this, if you don't set up and organize all of your stuff, it is seriously going to make it really hard to put back together, and you're probably going to have a mistake. So engines are giant pieces of metal, and even though they are, these little tiny, every little detail in here counts, and that is so important that you keep track of all your little parts and pieces, because without it, you're not going to have a good engine. So at first, I was also saying that I was really worried about some of the metal on the bottom. I took a more deeper look at it. I'm not concerned. Well, I am a little bit disappointed. I would like to have seen no metal shaving at all, but there was just a tiniest little bit, and that is a kind of a normal wear thing after an engine with higher miles. So it's going to be thrown back together with that. It's going to have the same pistons, same rings on them. I'm not honing out these cylinders. I'm just going to leave those. I'm going to polish and clean everything, though. That being said, re-oil everything before it goes back in. Don't forget to do that. Of course, we got to replace the rear main seal. It's a two-piece. The other piece is actually part of the oil pump. I will be getting an oil pump, so I'm going to talk about now exactly what I'm going to be getting for this engine. So this is going to be the end of this episode, just because it's so much stuff, and it's going to take me all night and all of tomorrow to edit. Today's Thursday. I need to get it out. So the engine is completely tore down. The next episode, we're going to be painting it / putting it back together. And the next one, it'll be going in the car and running again. So, I mean, we're only 2 episodes out from driving this car, but so this is going to be the full teardown one. So that being said, what am I going to be buying personally for this engine? So we'll start all the way down the line. Crankshaft. We're not buying a new crankshaft. I mean, why would you ever buy a new crankshaft? You really don't have to unless you have actual damage. That being said, I'm going to do a very enhanced inspection on all of these parts, and if I see any defects, well, of course, I'm going to have to replace it, but I don't think, over my quick preview of tearing it apart, I didn't notice anything of my looking over that would interfere with this crankshaft not working properly in the engine. So pistons and rings, those are all okay. Those will get cleaned up real nice, as well as the bearings. Those bearings in there, those are all fine. Camshaft, junk, getting a new one. Chain, junk. Sprocket, junk, I'm getting all new. Caps, of course, are good. I do need to check the wear on the inside of those caps. I did not do that yet. Oil pan needs cleaned out and everything. I am going to be getting a new oil pump just because it is like $75. I was wrong, but still $75 for everything that you see there. Like, it's the whole kit and everything. I'm going to be keeping factory rocker arms. Going to be cleaning them up and making sure there's no excessive wear, as well as push rods. I'm getting new head bolt hardware. All the hardware on the engine is actually going to be brand new. I'm getting new head gaskets, new lifters. That right there is actually an HO head. That is one of the ones that's going to go on it. That's an HO head, and then that's the other HO head. Those are the factory ones right there. Intake manifold, upgrading to an Edelbrock. Of course, got to clean and paint everything over here. Water pump, going to clean that up, paint it. Timing cover, I'm going to see how much a chrome one, replacement one costs, because that one is a little banged up and bent up. So I'm going to see if I can find something to replace that. But if not, we'll slap that sucker right back on. Starter, it's fine. Going to clean it up. You know, head gasket, oil, filter tray. Going to throw a good wicks in there. And of course, same over here. New lifters, keeping the rocker arms and push rods as long as there is no excessive wear. So the engine itself, I'm going to start cleaning and tearing down the paint and grease and old gaskets. That is a very long process, but it is so worth it, because if you rush through it and you don't take your time, you're going to be wasting a lot more time. So I'm completely serious about it, guys. Be careful. Take your time when you're doing this. Engine work, the only thing I can say about it is you need to take your time. And if you take your time, it's going to work great. You're going to have no issues. And as you'll be able to see here, we're going to throw this all back together. It'll make a really nice engine, and it should still make good horsepower on a budget. And that's my goal here. And I'm going to use this engine here as a way to prove my means. So I'm going to spend the rest of the night cleaning up. I got to do a couple more things. All right, so that's it. The rest of the night is going to be me cleaning up and doing a few more things around the garage. I got to finally get ready to start cleaning this stuff. I don't know if I'll actually get to it tonight. It depends. We'll see how much time I have. And after that, I mean, just getting thrown back together. So I'm really excited for that. I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the Antique Geek Garage. Weekly videos should be happening. So that's a great bonus now. I can't guarantee it, but I'm going to say nine times out of 10, you should be getting a video every week. And yeah, this is the teardown of my dream car's engine. It was so much worse than I expected, but hey, I'll take what I can get, and we're going to turn it into a beast on a budget. So I'm going to share this not only because I'm on a budget myself, but for all of you guys, that you don't need to spend $10,000 to have a car that runs good and reliably and is so much fun. I'll break down the price cost and all of this in the reveal video, and every little step in detail, including tools and everything like that. If you would like tools, let me know, please. And so that if you guys ever want to do this for yourself, you're young like me and you want to start preparing, if you're younger than me and you want to start preparing, this would be perfect. So let me know. Seriously, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch all of you in the next one. Thanks for watching the end of the video, by the way. That means a lot. So we'll see you next time.